welcome to the Halloween edition of 5 Minutes with the Newsroom. I'm here with Green Valley News and Sorita Sun reporter Jamie Verwys. And Jamie is also an expert in horror movies. She co-hosts the Dolls of Horror podcast, which you can find online anywhere you get your podcasts. Mm-hmm. And so Jamie's going to just run down her top 5 horror movies. And my first question for Jamie is, what makes a good horror movie?
It's not all the things that you would expect make a good horror movie, Kevin. Because you would kind of think, like, what makes a good movie? Well, it's got to have a good story, right? It's got to have good acting. No, you don't need those things to make an enjoyable horror movie. Some of my favorites are horribly acted and have plot holes galore, but it's fine. It's totally fine. There's, like, different approaches to horror movies, too. Like, there's some directors in horror movies that go with, like, an unrelenting approach, right? They're not really designed to entertain you or to be fun. They're designed to upset you. So that would be kind of like those newer movies like the Saw series. There's the other approach, which is entertainment. Those tend to be more my favorites. So I'll kind of focus on those a little bit more. I think that a horror movie has to have atmosphere. You know, you have to build tension. You have to build some suspense. You have to have some surprises and, like, a sense of the unknown and a dreadful feeling.
So it's not all just blood and guts?
No, definitely. Some of my favorite horror movies have no kills, no blood, no guts. It's all supernatural, psychological. Some of it's just like the horrors of human life, you know, in a metaphorical sense of some kind. A lot of haunting movies have 0 kills, 0 blood and guts. So you don't need it. I like blood and guts, but I don't need it to like a horror movie. It's that tension. I think, like, the music is really important, the score and the music. If you were to take out some of those classic scores that we think about, like the Halloween score, or even like The Thing, or Psycho,
Yeah.
Even if you haven't seen Psycho, you know that sound, that you know it. If you took that out, it just wouldn't have the same feeling. So sound is really, really important. The cinematography is super important. A lot of directors will use the cinematography to achieve that mood, especially if you're like a smaller budget and can't afford all the special effects. Evil Dead does it. That camera work is really chaotic and moves around a lot. It's dizzying, disorienting, kind of like the characters are feeling. That classic POV shot is really, like, important in horror movies too. Black Christmas kind of started it. Halloween followed suit. That's really important. I do think you need at least one relatable character. A lot of them are just fodder. You know that they're going to die, and that's kind of what you're along for the ride on. But you have to have at least one person who you can relate to, so you care about their journey, so you can feel fear for them. You know, you can say, oh, I know how I'd feel in that situation if I were her. She kind of reminds me of me, or a friend, or whoever. Somebody has to be relatable. And then lastly, they just gotta commit to it. So if the plot is crazy, they just have to, like, totally believe it and buy into it and go for it.
Great. So give us your top 5 horror movies, Jamie.
Sure. So this is an edited list. Some of my favorites I would never recommend to the general public. I'm very experienced. But these are 5 movies that they're not super gory. A lot of them are either PG or PG-13, so they're appropriate for most people in the family. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Poltergeist. Such a classic.
Yeah.
So funny. It also has really scary moments in it, but, you know, not horribly gory. It's not, like, horribly, like, in your face scary, but it's got moments.
Oh, it scared me when I was younger a little bit.
Me too. There are scenes that are pretty freaky still. And it's, yeah, just the family that it centers around. They could be your family. They could be your friend's family. They're likable, so, you know, you just want them to get out of this okay and to save the girl and everything. Mm-hmm. I also love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I think it's really family appropriate, but maybe that's just me and my kooky ideas of family appropriate movies.
If you're not terrified of clowns, I think so.
Yeah, if you're afraid of clowns, don't check it out. If you're kind of wanting to dip your toes into the evil clown subgenre, this is a great safe place to try it.
Okay.
Very fun and colorful and, like, 80s, you know, late 80s silliness. It's great. My next one's a PG-13. It's called Skeleton Key. It's in the early 2000s. It's about like voodoo in New Orleans. I think it gets a little slept on. It's a really, really good supernatural horror movie and not very gory or scary. Monster Squad, another classic.
That's a
80s.
good one. I remember that one.
Yes, it's so fun because again, relatable. You can relate with like the group of kids, and you get to experience all the classic Universal monsters, and it's funny. It's one of my go-tos, especially for the Halloween season. And my last one, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I will say this one is R, so maybe not super kid friendly, but it's not super gory. Most stuff happens off camera. It's got a great story. It's funny. It's scary. It's American Werewolf in London. The brilliant John Landis behind the helm on that one. It is. It was like the first R-rated movie I actually ever saw with my father.
Okay.
So I have a special place in my heart for it. And the special effects are just a master at work. Best werewolf transformation.
Yeah, when he's turning into the
ever.
werewolf.
Yeah, I would fight somebody on that. But that's generally kind of considered the best werewolf transformation ever made on screen. So American Werewolf in London, hands down, just one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a great one. So I want to remind everyone, be sure to check the Green Valley News newsletters. Jamie is going to be featuring her favorite horror movie every email. So be sure to check daily as we head into Halloween. So thanks for being with us here on 5 Minutes with the Newsroom. I do also want to remind you to check out Jamie's podcast, the Dolls of Horror podcast. And that's available anywhere you can find podcasts, correct?
Yep, on all your favorite streaming platforms.
Okay. Well, again, have a happy Halloween, everyone, and thanks for joining us on 5 Minutes with the Newsroom.
Bye.
Bye.